rápidas, né? Um mês já. A gente gostaria de agradecer a presença de todos, em especial as organizações parceiras que participaram em conjunto desse belo projeto da IBM, Fundação Municipal do Ambiente, a Associação Floripa Manhã, o pessoal do Hardware Health, do Grid Labs, sei que foi um mês bastante intenso para todas as equipes. A gente teve a oportunidade de interagir com praticamente todos vocês e alguns alunos, foi muito bacana. Acho que além dos resultados que vocês vão estar conhecendo nessa tarde de hoje, uma das melhores coisas que a gente teve ao longo desse mês foi justamente essa troca, a oportunidade de estar com pessoas de 12 diferentes nacionalidades, 13 incluindo a nossa, interagindo em conjunto com diferentes pontos de vista, visões de mundo. Eu acho que isso enriqueceu a todos. Eu acho que isso é um dos maiores ganhos desse projeto da IBM. Gostaria, claro, de agradecer também a IBM, a equipe da Pixera, que tornou tudo isso possível. A gente iniciou essa jornada com colegas de trabalho e ao longo do tempo os nossos laços foram se estreitando e com certeza que hoje a gente está saindo desse trabalho com muitos amigos feitos ao longo dessa jornada. Muito bacana. Foi um trabalho muito intenso, mas ao mesmo tempo acredito que vocês tiveram a oportunidade de se divertir bastante, conhecer um pouco das belezas naturais aqui da nossa cidade, do nosso estado. E nós gostaríamos que vocês saíssem daqui também como sendo embaixadores dessa bela ilha, desse belo estado, desse belo país que nós temos. As portas estarão sempre abertas para recebê-los por aqui, se fosse em casa, verdadeiramente. E gostaria de desejar a todos uma excelente tarde de trabalho. Muito obrigado.
Obrigada, Luísa. Depois de um depoimento como esse, né, sobra pouco para ele falar, mas os parceiros também, a gente vai dar um tempo para todo mundo conversar, né? O evento de encerramento, ele tem como proposta, eu acho que, em primeiro lugar, agradecer a parceria, né? Acho que o voto de confiança dos 5 parceiros que tiveram uma primeira conversa com a IBM conhecer o projeto lá em maio e hoje, né, a gente está conhecendo os deliverables, né, desse trabalho aí de 4 semanas. E como a Heloísa falou, o que é mais bacana, eu só tive um evento de abertura e agora estou encerramento, a gente começa anunciando como consultores, e os parceiros, e a IBM, e no final é tudo um time, né? Eu acho que essa oportunidade de evento de encerramento, de fazer essa troca, que cada um possa contar de forma resumida o que viveu, né? Essas quase 4 semanas. E é um momento realmente de troca entre os parceiros locais, até para eventualmente terem novas parcerias entre as organizações que seguem aqui na cidade, né? Então a gente já teve casos super bacanas de novas parcerias saírem a partir de um CSC em outras cidades. Então a gente torce para que esse bom efeito colateral do programa também aconteça por aqui. E mais uma vez agradecer parceiros, meus colegas IBMers, convidados para voltar para o Brasil sempre que quiserem, procurar todo mundo. São Paulo não é tão bonito quanto Florianópolis, a briga vai ser dura, mas pelo menos a conexão deve ser em São Paulo, aí vocês vão me visitar. E agradecer a Pixera, Bela, Fer, mais um programa, CSC 24 a caminho. E agora a ideia é que os grupos, os times, venham, apresentem os resultados E aí eu acho que cada time definiu a forma que vai se organizar e possa compartilhar aí com todo mundo um pouquinho dessa vivência aí das últimas 4 semanas. Tá bom? Obrigada. E a Fê que vai tocar.
Então tá, pessoal, eu tive o enorme prazer de assistir todas as 5 apresentações, né, cada um para as suas organizações anfitriãs. Eu acho que mais que clientes são, na verdade, né, as organizações amigas, anfitriãs. A colaboração sempre, eu acho que é mais por aí. E foi incrível, eu estou muito animada agora para ver o que o pessoal preparou aí. Um pouquinho mais enxuto, né, mas para que todos tenham um gostinho, né, do que cada um fez nessas 4 semanas. Então, o primeiro time que eu quero chamar para se apresentar é o pessoal do SESI, que trabalhou com o EMOSC. SESI team, yes, you guys.
Hi, boa tarde to the moon. Correct? We are IBM consulting team from CSC programs. We are collecting from all over the world. First, I want to introduce our teams. My name is Eri. I'm from IBM Japan, and also Alex from IBM United Kingdom, and Aisha from United States. And also, I want to introduce Felipe. He is our project assistant, but he did a great work with us. And also, Ceci team over there, sitting there. So, our project is Ceci, but our project is Hemoski, Blood Donation Center of Santa Catarina. We worked together for 4 weeks, 6 people, about this center. So let me introduce the background of this project. Everyone knows Hemoski? Yes? 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 Have you ever donated blood in Hemoski? Please raise a hand. Oh, have. Thank you very much. So Hemoski provided about 99% of blood in the state of Santa Catarina. And also, they are very huge organization in the world to supply ideal level of stock level. So we envy your status because in Japan, UK, US, we are suffering from a lack of blood stock levels. But in the we learned about blood in 4 weeks, and blood has an expiration date. Unfortunately, we cannot reserve all forever. So, if stock level ideas is okay, but if they collect too many blood, I'm sorry, but these blood have to be discarded because of the expiration. So, blood is like vegetable or fruits. They need blood every day because they use everyday blood in their hospitals. So in this situation, we make the project objectives. So,
So I will go over some of our objectives with this project that were set and agreed with EMOSC and the SESI team. Excuse myself, is this? Yeah. First of all, it was adamant that we understood the donor behavior and the whole blood donation process as a starting point for a project. Second, to improve communication between EMOSC and donors who live nearby donation centers in order to recruit them and to retain them. Third, to understand the best possible way to inform population regarding blood donation needs, the blood donation process, and the requirements in order to become a donor. Fourth one, to understand the best possible way to recruit donors based on the blood stock level needs. And the fifth, to establish the best practices possible to improve donor experience and to convert donors from first-time donors in order to become sporadic donors and then loyal donors. That's it.
So once we'd agreed our objectives, we then set about to do some research to understand more about the current donors and also the blood donation process here in the States. So in order to do this, we did both quantitative and qualitative research. So the first thing we did was visit the Florianopolis Hamosk site, and we also went over to Larges to see the site there to understand more about the process in both different sites, and also to understand any differences between different cities. We then wrote and conducted a survey. This was done over 666 donors across the state from all different centres, and we asked questions around communication, other preferences, demographics, lots of different stuff in those. We also ran empathy mapping sessions, which is a part of the design thinking process, and we ran these with donors and also ran them with some of the employees to get a different perspective on the process and the donors. And then in addition to this, we also, Hamosk sent us a lot of data, so we went through a lot of that, and also we looked at the Google Analytics output of the website to understand currently what was going on and what pages were being used more frequently, to just make sure that we had the best possible understanding. So following this research, we will now go through some of the key findings. So one of the things that we all noticed that came through really strongly across the survey, across the interviews, was the general really positive perception about Hamosk. All of the donors, all of the employees spoke really, really positively, which was fantastic for us to see, and definitely a credit to all of the people at Hamoski. Some of the things that we did find, particularly about the current communication, was that only 20% of people are checking the site on the day of donation. And typically they're looking to understand the locations, the timings, and kind of practical information around donation. We also understood that only 12% are actually looking for information related to whether their blood stock's needed, what levels of blood stock there is for their particular type. So that was again something that came through strongly on the surveys. I mentioned we also asked around communication. So these are some of the options that we listed on the survey. And as you can see, there were strong preferences across all different demographics for WhatsApp and email, with Facebook as third. And then, websites, applications, all preferences were listed. So we then kind of pulled all of this together to analyse and then make some recommendations, which Aisha will now talk through.
So after reviewing all of the data, we came together to provide some recommendations for Hamoski on how they can improve already phenomenal communication in which they do for donors and candidates in Santa Catarina. And so some of the key things that we recommended were to actually provide the blood stock level information that they already provide, to provide it on every website page, because we can't guarantee which page the donor is going to come in to look at information, because currently it's only displayed on the home page. And so also around that, we recommend that they put more information about the stock levels as far as how many days of supply they have, as well as what the ideal level is, so donors can have more information to consider if they should come today, if they're considering to come today, if their blood type is needed, so that we make sure that we're meeting our objective of having the right donor at the right time coming to donate blood, and eliminating the need for expiration of blood. And also, we had a few updates that we recommended to the website in order to make the information more consumable for people using the website. So basically around providing high-level information at the top of the page by simplifying it, and just adding links at the top so people know what the content is on the page without having to do a lot of scrolling. And also adding sharing buttons so people can share on social media, and highlighting which social media platforms they currently have, as well as suggesting that they, based on the communication preference from the survey, look at adding more social media platforms, especially WhatsApp and Instagram. And the reason why we came to the conclusion that they needed to add Instagram is because even though they have Facebook, we were expecting people to come to the website on Facebook, but we found that people were coming to the website from Instagram that donors were posting, and they were spending more time on the website than the average donor that came from Facebook. So we felt like that was a good platform for them to consider. And also, since email was highly preferred by donors, for them to consider doing email campaigns that they can use to further improve their brand, which is already very strong in the within the state of Santa Catarina. And then finally, WhatsApp being the strongest preference among all people that we surveyed, that they look at creating WhatsApp campaigns because they already have someone named Regina that is working on their behalf, providing information. And so we can expand that and make it more official, coming directly from Hamaski themselves. And also, you know, among social sharing, one of the things that we recommended was that they look at implementing an online scheduling system so that they could determine when their flow of donors were most likely to come into the system, as well as also giving them an opportunity to do the online screening forms, to do the screening forms that they currently do on site, to do them online, because that would help save about 25% of time that this, the person spends in the donation center donating blood. So those were some of our key recommendations. And that's all that we have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. So next is Bridge Team. Yeah, surprise.
Boa tarde a todos. Um alô para o pessoal do Bridge que está assistindo a gente numa live que a gente está fazendo aqui. Só relembrando, o Laboratório Bridge faz parte do Centro Tecnológico da Universidade Federal de Santa Catarina. Foi escolhido um dos produtos que nós desenvolvemos lá. Os produtos lá são voltados para a saúde pública e o escolhido foi o prontuário eletrônico para atenção básica. Do prontuário eletrônico para atenção básica, todas as informações epidemiológicas, clínicas, sociossanitárias, enfim, são enviadas para um centralizador nacional, hoje com 2 bilhões de registros. E a ideia era a gente desenvolver um BI, né? A ideia é a gente desenvolver um BI, porém o tempo era muito curto para a gente fazer isso. Então, o objetivo da parceria aqui com a IBM foi a gente fazer um roadmap das fases de desenvolvimento, junto com as tecnologias aplicadas e alguns relatórios, já com um protótipo de alguns relatórios, né? E agora o pessoal vai apresentar de fato o que foi desenvolvido. Quem é o próximo?
When we started working with the team, trying to understand what happened when you have 2 billion records, to struggling about information instead of data, to look for quality, to look for information about the people, which is a concern of the UBS managers or the city managers. We found that we had a monolithic structure, something that was very difficult to dive into, to mine. And the first approach was to recommend for getting some breakdown of that information, of that platform, into something more manageable. To break down into pieces that are called reports, in this case, with valuable pieces of information about how the people is attended in those UBS, in those centers for primary attention. what we found was that probably we needed to work off hours to develop some processes to gain the data into valuable report. From the technical perspective, this is something that needs probably to use open source to analyze. So in the 3 weeks we worked on analyzing, get a state of art of what was happening with that information, how was managed, and how was gathered in each center for primary attention.
Thank you. So Bridge has a huge mission to actually do this BI platform to the whole of Brazil, the public health for whole of Brazil. So where do we start with that, basically? So we have used the 4 weeks here to understand where can we do most impact to start with. Who is that with the most pain points that needs this BI platform? So we have used a lot of post-its, right? That's what we have done. And we have worked very, very close. IBM Sweden, IBM Mexico, IBM Israel, together we Bridge in one room all the time and had the end user in focus. And who is the end user here? Well, there is a lot of end users. It's a whole of Brazil, of course, but it's a lot of managers in different levels, city, state, UBS. But what are their pain points? Well, what we saw is that what keeps them awake in the personas we made, Chico or Dr. Silvia, they don't have really the view of how many patients do I have within my state, city, UBS area, micro area, that suffers from some of the conditions that you can have, like diabetes or yellow fever. And how many of those people are actually treated? They don't know that. And also to see when in the time do we have most patients coming into the clinics. How should I plan my staffing? Those were the pain points that we started with and drilled down that to very technical requirements to prioritize. How can we do that going first? And behind all of these post-its, there was a technical solution. So us in the business stream, we worked side by side with the technical team, right?
Well, the approach we worked on was to break down that structure and to get a flow of how the information was gathered in the source, understand how that process worked, and then build a set of work products, which are the data flow, the data structure, the data model to be able to manage that unit of sense of value information into reports, into some other artifacts that make the new process more scalable. The scalability is one of the concerns that we are trying to solve using open source technologies. Maybe the same technology that they are using right now can be improved, changing the paradigm to a distributed kind of data model instead of a monolithic paradigm. To do that, we just struggled into how the information could flow better, work with a new structure, work with new technologies like message queuing. That is a technology used in the in Netflix, in Uber, in some of the most demanding technologies or services worldwide. And also the idea is to move into microservices and say each city, each UBS, each unit that is gathering information, it's a microservice, and there are a consumer for that microservice that is able to bring the data in a time fashion, with quality, with purpose, mostly.
Thank you, Thomas. So one of the deliverables that we were asked to present and to prepare during these past 4 weeks was a roadmap. And this roadmap, as you can see, is planned to start in early December of this year. And going forward, it will utilize the infrastructure team of Bridge Lab. And of course, after that will come the development side. And going by the development will also be the testing team doing all the QA. And after that will come the change management part, which is very important for the end user to explain to them what they need to do, how they're going to do it differently from what they've done up until today. And after that will be some training sessions to teach all the end users how to use the new system. It's a completely new thing, a BI platform, something most of them have never used, so it's very important to teach them how to do it. And at the end, we'll have a pilot for about 11 cities, give or take. And after that, in early July, the planned go-live for the BI platform will be, we're supposed to go live. And after that, will be a short hypercare period, which is mainly the developers assisting in the users, the end users, assisting them in using the new BI platform. Now, as you can see, this is a very high-level plan. We did, of course, produce a more detailed Gantt chart, but it was so big, so it didn't fit on the screen, so we're just presenting you the high-level one. And it's about 8 months, all in all, from start to finish, and it's supposed to produce 5 reports at the end, which I'm sure the capable team of Bridge Lab will be able to do successfully.
Thank you, Noam. So what we actually want to deliver after these 8 months? This is we work very closely with our design team, and this is a prototype built by them. Can't really see much, but it's for the first report, part of the first report we plan to deliver after these months. And it gives a very clear overview of the health conditions in a city, a health unit, or smaller divisions. And the health manager is able to filter by conditions and see which citizens are most affected by diabetes or obesity, hypertension, and of these citizens, there's a blue bar there that shows how many of them were attended in the last month. So at the same time, we give a lot of information for the manager, which was something we found out early that was very important for them. They don't have a lot of time to analyze this data and to find value here. We need to show it clearly. So at a single glance here, they could see how their population is doing, where they should invest more, and well, which conditions are the worst.
Let's see if I can do this. Okay, you can almost see that. Yeah, the most important thing, though, is one thing that we actually did this project, which was amazing. But what I want to emphasize is how much you guys, Bridges, learned us about IBM. From day one, you have included IBM into Bridge, and we have learned Brazil from you. Oh my God, you have taught us to dance, you have taught us to barbecue. I'm not a big fan of meat. I don't eat much meat, and from now on, I'm only gonna eat meat that's been barbecued for 8 hours in a ring of fire. So that's what I'm gonna do. And you also took us on an amazing treks and trails and show us this amazing island. And you have friends all over the world now, and please reach out to us. And it's not just the 3 of us. You have included all 15 of us, right? So you have a friend in every corner of the world. Just reach out and say you're a Bridger, and we will take care of you. Thank you so much.
Well, we surely learned a lot from you, and it's a challenge on how can we take all this knowledge to the rest of the lab, and something we have to work on. But definitely the friends we made here were the best part of this project. I know I speak for the whole team. Working with the three of you was absolutely amazing, and getting to know all the rest of you was also really the best part of this. Really, thank you very much for this.
Okay. So, just a second, guys. We're seeing if we can maybe do something about that, about the sun.
We need some IBM cloud.
Florentine, please come to the stage. Okay. Tá. Gente, a gente só uns minutinhos que a gente vai tentar puxar um pouquinho mais para cá para ficar um pouco mais visível a tela, tá? Melhor? Um pouquinho melhor. Um pouquinho melhor, né? Melhorou, né? Antes estava, não dá para ver nada.
And now the end is near. Just a little bit of a leisure break. I didn't know I could sing either.
So hi everyone, thanks for being here. So we are Floram team, the green team, environment team. I present myself. I'm Zubir Fatima Zara from IBM Morocco.
I'm Daria Varelli from the US.
Eu sou Silvane, de Florianópolis.
David Moylan from Ireland.
Isadora Gallens, de Florianópolis também.
So, Floran is the Municipal Foundation of Environment in Floripa. Is in charge of supervising and managing all the parks and preserved areas here in Floripa. It's also in charge of all the training about environment and also about managing all the issues related to environment. So if we can go to the other slide. So we tried to do our presentation on the Bekashuka method, but we tried and we made it a little bit funny. So we are going to have some slides, 20 slides or less, each for 20 seconds. And we promise that you will have a lot of emotions during our presentation and a lot of mesmerizing views. So the project objectives are, first thing is to engage the youth in the environment, engage them in the preparation of all the materials of the trainings and all that stuff, and to have people more also engaged in the environment, all the tourists and people living in Floripa. And
The end game is that we engage the youth and we make them stewards of the environment, to understand the importance of clean water and to pick up the trash and to participate as volunteers, because we want to protect the Mother Earth, and that's the goal of Florum, doing that through our visits to the trails, to the oceans, but also in planting trees and reforestation. So the focus here we had was on training the youth and engaging them in environmental education. Next slide. Our deliverables for this project included a list of best practices recommendations for service management, as well as a framework for the development of a Florum app. Because what do all kids have? They have cell phones. And we asked the children on some trips, how often do you look at your phone? 5 to 8 hours a day on the phone. So that was a perfect match for joining the youth to Florum is the app.
so to understand more about the youth, we had a youth session about environment, and we had a design thinking workshop with both departments in Floran. DPUC, who's in charge of the conservation units, and DPA, who's in charge of all the trainings within Floran. So for the design thinking workshop, we were able to get an action plan as an output of it. We defined a persona, a stakeholder map. We understood the relationship between all the stakeholders, the as-is scenario, the to-be scenario, and we defined all together an action plan that we hope Floran will work on it all together. And regarding the youth session, so this session was really insightful and interesting because we got the input from the youth and how are they engaged today on the environment and how they want to be engaged in the future. And that's how we noticed from that they pass a lot of time in their smartphones and they want to be engaged through technology because technology talks to them more than anything else. So we have made a lot of field trips. I think we are the luckiest ones among all the groups. We have been everywhere in the island. So I'll let David.
Yeah, our teams managed to let us know from time to time, you're getting around the island a fair bit. Are you actually doing any work? But we did. Each of these trips, it was work. First of all, we went to Lagoa do Peri. You'll see it down here on the bottom left, and that's the area where the conservation units is based from. and they're called the Puck. And Mauro and Giulio, I think some of you have met Giulio. They worked with us on teaching us how they look after each of the trails around the island, the nursery to reforest the island, and there's a lot of good work going on down there. And another area that we went to was Certo de Paris. You can't see it very well here, but this was a community where people worked together to bring fruit and vegetables into the city, and organic fruit and veg, sorry, thank you. And the Horto Forestal, you see it on the top corner. That's where Silvani here, she works and does her education programs. And then to top it all off, we had such a lovely treat by going to Lagoinha de Leste. I believe some of our team are going there over the next few days, or tomorrow, so you're in for a treat. It's a hell of a walk and a hike, but it's really good. And this is...
So for the rest of the field trips, we have met yesterday with the president of SUMAR, so the agency who's managing volunteering within Prefeitura de Florianopolis. We have been also to the Brigadeiro Eduardo Gomes School for the youth session about environment. We have been to Lagoa de Pequena, and we had interview meetings with the technology partners, the future technology partners of Floram, Akachi, and Bridge team who's with us today.
One of our deliverables was to produce a process for managing the relationships with Floram's partners. And they include groups like IAR, which provide ready-made educational programs like Visit the Forest, Young Reporter. And so Floram can use these programs to teach the youth. IAR has been a great partner for them. They've only, I think they've had a partnership for about 2 years now. But they've got other partners, ISFC, which is a university. Of course, SOMAR provides the volunteerism. But with all these partners, there's so much material. That's the good thing. Bad thing is there's so much material. So again, how do we make a portal and easy to use reference to find these materials, to find the links to the partners, to find the websites, to find any training classes? So that's kind of where we marry where the partners are. But you can see there's a large network here of all the different schools, right? And PRA that did the Trails project, right? So there's also SNOOK regulations that says, you know, your park must have these requirements. So this management of partnerships goes beyond just saying, okay, you want to be our partner. It's following up, it's talking to them, what new material do you have, new content, etc. All right? Now, let's talk a little bit about the app framework, David.
So we managed to bring all of partners together with Akacha. We've made a connection with Bridge Labs. We're hoping that Alvaro and the Floram team will work with these guys to come up with a budget as to what they need, the people they need to get involved, project coordinator, project management. We've gone through discovery ourselves, and they need to work on the content. They have quite a lot of it, as we were saying earlier, and they need to figure out how do we make this user-friendly, something easy for people to pick up, find their way around the island, use the trails, get educated a little bit more about what they're doing along the way. And I did a quick prototype myself, but I'm sure Bridge Labs and the other guys will be able to do a lot better. Yes, Isa has said, that's a nice attempt, but professionals do a much better job. Okay, thanks.
So the next steps for Floram is we've reviewed with them these service management best practices. They're going to look at their organization, see how they're aligned. They have multiple organizations that are doing environmental education. It's probably not the most optimal use of the organization and the structure. So we're going to talk about perhaps consolidating all of the environmental education under one director, okay? Also putting a process in place for ongoing client relationship management with their partners. We're looking at funding sources. This is a nonprofit organization, so we're looking for some perhaps pro bono services in the design of the app, the validation of the requirements. So the whole planning cycle for this application is sort of the first step. In addition, we're going to be going to the government. We put together a proposal to ask for additional funding. We've talked to Bridge Lab. So our technology partner is going to help us define what it will look like and how much time it's going to take to develop it, all right? This is a quick list of the best practices that are in this analysis and review we did for the organization. It includes best practices for governance and governance for nonprofit. We've recommended some nonprofit director training, formal issue and risk management. So this is all service management type of activities. So, without further ado, let me introduce to you the Director of Education, Silvani.
Então, boa tarde. É um prazer estar aqui representando a Fundação, a Floran, nosso superintendente Álvaro. E eu só tenho a agradecer a equipe, né, a Pixera e a IBM, que junto conosco nos lançamos nesse desafio. E realmente nós aprendemos muito com as nossas conversas, as nossas reuniões, e ficou bem evidente o nosso produto final, né, que é necessário que os visitantes e as pessoas que circulam pelas trilhas e pelos caminhos e que acessam as unidades de conservação precisam de uma informação mais acessível, de forma mais transparente e com qualidade. E que nós precisamos estreitar e melhorar as relações com os parceiros que já fazem muitas coisas na cidade, mas que estão fazendo de forma desconecta. E a consultoria da IBM permitiu a gente também conectar esses parceiros. Então, isso foi um grande resultado para nós. Outro grande resultado é a possibilidade, então, das recomendações em relação à organização interna, que é bem importante também, né, no desenvolvimento do trabalho e a qualidade do serviço que a Floran oferece para a cidade, né, que o compromisso da Floran é o cuidado e a preservação da Mata Atlântica, né? Nosso município é inteiramente bioma Mata Atlântica e nós precisamos, em todas as nossas ações, trazer essa mensagem para todas as pessoas que vivem aqui e que vêm visitar aqui. Então, fazer uma trilha, simplesmente caminhar pela trilha sem uma informação real e transparente do que realmente eu posso contribuir como um trilheiro, como um visitante para a conservação do meio ambiente. Então, fazer a trilha, mas sim agregar valores também com o meu caminhar nessa trilha. Então, assim, a gente consegue visualizar com o nosso produto final esse aplicativo, né, vinculado a uma plataforma com informações mais objetivas. Então, obrigada. Obrigada.
So here you have few photos of our best moments. They were funny, they were free, they were full of adrenaline, and of course full of cachaça. I don't drink, but I think it's great to have cachaça, right?
So we're so grateful to our organization, Florum, for being such wonderful hosts. We're so glad that we could meet you and meet your team. We've had a wonderful 4 weeks, just spectacular. So we're going to continue this relationship. We're going to continue to provide pro bono consulting beyond this point from Ireland and Morocco. And we want to thank Florum, and we'd like to present Silvani with a token of our appreciation. So thank you. And of course, we'd like to recognize the best, the craziest PA, Isadora Gallant. Thank you so much. You were part of the team, dear. It was fabulous.
Thank you, guys. Okay. Okay, so next I want to call up on stage Floripa Manhã. Yeah. I see some Korean hearts there.
We feel so appreciation and in the event. Okay, sorry.
Baldaji, meu nome é Wallace. And I feel very ashamed because after 4 weeks of being in Florianopolis, that's pretty much the extent of my Portuguese. But good afternoon, my name is Wallace, and as you can see up there, we're from sub-team Floripa Manhã, and I'm joined with my colleagues. I'm going to just ask them to introduce themselves.
I'm Don, and I'm from the sub-team here, and I'm so absolutely privileged to be part of the program and incredible experience with the sub-team and the project assistant and the Floripa Manhã team. We have a great experience here.
Hi, my name is Minji Kim. I'm from IBM Korea do Sul. And we are having this little session because we are having Wallace on the stage to take us through the whole presentation. And my 4 weeks of Floripa Manhã was absolutely amazing. I used to be in Brazil, but then after 8 years, a lot of things have changed, and obviously the environment has an amazing vibe. The people here are truly amazing. The food, the sun, even if it's winter, it's like 23 degrees right now. So thank you, Gracie, and thank you, Floripa Manhã. Thank you for your experience, for giving us the love that we can't thank more than enough. Thank you.
Oi, eu sou a Isabela, assistente de projeto. Também queria agradecer muito a organização Floripa Manhã. Me sinto privilegiada de ter participado desse projeto. E também com esse pessoal aqui. They're amazing. I love them. Thank you.
Thanks, we'll pay you later. And this is Ivo from Floripa Manhã, and we want to thank everyone from Floripa Manhã who was able to make it here today. So like what Minji mentioned today, earlier, we have had an absolutely amazing experience. It's been 4 weeks. We can't believe the time has flown, and in about 48 hours we'll be out of here. It's sad. We're very sad, but we've had such an amazing experience. We've fallen in love with Florianopolis. It's such a beautiful city. There are some photos up here, and Ivo has been very kind to take us on a number of tours. We went up north, we saw a whole bunch of beaches, went down south, we saw more beaches. It's heaps and heaps of beaches around here, and we keep, every beach we go to, we fall in love. The sunset, the landscape, it's fantastic. But not just that. The people that we've encountered have been extremely hospitable, generous. Everyone from some of the Uber drivers right through the shop assistants, and everyone we've met, even people who don't speak English, they've gone out of the way to really help accommodate us. So this is Floripa Manhã team, and right after our presentation yesterday, it's a bit hard to see, but that was a really great photo, and we've had a great time. And I can see Florianopolis is such a great city, and it was really interesting. I saw an article oops. This is from the Financial Times. Admittedly, I think it's probably about 3 years old now. But the article reads, Florianopolis lures buyers away from Brazil's megacities. And Florianopolis is such a growing city. And, you know, being a big city, a growing city, just like any city, the question they would be asking is, how do we build a better Florianopolis? You know, one way to do that is to listen to the voice of the people. Let's ask the residents in Florianopolis and find out what are the challenges that they face in their community. Is it bad transport? Is it safety? Is it education? Is it jobs? What are the main things that need to be addressed? And that's exactly what Encerramento has done. So in 2017, so last year, they went out and they conducted a massive survey, hired 15 interviewers to go out on the streets of Florianopolis and ask and talk to as many residents as possible. So they conducted a survey. To give you a bit of an idea of the survey, it's a fairly long survey that addresses all areas, all thematic areas, such as education, water, sanitization, security, transportation, and a whole lot more. It's a long survey. It's about 150 questions. If you were stopped on the street, and some of you may have participated in it, but it takes about an hour to go through these surveys. So it's a long survey, 16 pages for one survey. And at the end of the program, Encerramento managed to get over 1,000 surveys, which was quite a feat. But if you think about that, that's 1,000 surveys, 16 pages per survey. It's about 16,000 sheets of paper. Every time they conduct a survey. One other point that I didn't mention is that this process happens in about 5 other cities. So if you think about 6 cities, 16,000 sheets of paper, that's about 98,000 sheets of paper every time they conduct one of these surveys across the 6 cities. So our community challenge was really, how do we build a roadmap for a digital solution to help manage that? A digital solution to understand the problems in Florianopolis. So we need to capture the voice of the people in Florianopolis, but also eventually to these other 5 cities as well, in a more effective, cheaper, quicker manner. And obviously the aim is to get as many respondents as possible as well. So to go about doing that, we went through a process of design thinking, which many of you are familiar with. And it's really going through each of the roles in the current process. So everyone from being the person who gets stopped on the street to answer the interviews, and thinking about what they think, they feel, they say, and they do. And we've mapped that each of those users into one of these large posters. So that's the general user. We've got the interviewer, and I guess just to put yourself in the interviewer's shoes. These interviewers are mainly university students, and so a lot of the people here have experienced going through university before. University students are very, very busy. Lots and lots of exams, lots of assignments, and study. Depending on the student you were, partying as well, maybe. And these people are very busy. They're on the streets, and they need to speak to as many people as they can. I think they had a target of about 68 surveys per interviewer. And if you think about, when was the last time you were stopped on the street for anything? When I walk to work back in Australia, I often get stopped on the street, and more times than not, I sort of keep my distance and say, no, I'm not interested. And this is what the interviewers need to sort of go through. And the number of rejections that they're probably going through before they get someone who would finally agree to go through an interview. So they're probably thinking things like, is it really worth the money doing each of these interviewers? Why is this not online?
It's a really long survey, my legs are tired, I'm exhausted, I want to quit. So these are things that we've sort of thought through and tried to work out how we address. And we've basically done the same for each of the roles. We've got a supervisor who looks after all the interviewers. And we've gone through all of that mapping. Coordinator. And at the end of it all, we went through the empathy maps, we went through the user journeys, and eventually we came up with an application that had a number of roles, many of them sort of mapped towards who the users are in the current process. And the main roles would be the administrator, the coordinator, the interviewer, and the general access person. And then we've got a super administrator who will look after the overall application once this application gets rolled out to 5 other cities as well. So just to run you through really quickly, the administrator obviously is the person who looks after the application for Florianopolis in this case. So they would be configuring the users, creating questions, and then once questions are created, they can create surveys and add questions into those surveys, and then they can create multiple surveys as well. We have coordinators who will look after the interviewers. We'll have interviewers who obviously can continue to conduct surveys, and then we'll have the public, or the general access. Now, the purpose of this application is obviously to take over the process, the manual paper-based process that exists today, but also it's to open up the process so that we're not just receiving interviewers from interviewers, but also anyone from the public can log into the system and complete the survey then and there. So the interviewers will only be needed if we're running short of interviews, and we need to go out and maybe get a little bit more interviews from certain neighborhoods within Florianopolis. So this is really what we've designed. This is what we call the wireframes, which gives you a bit of an idea of the feel of the functionality of the website, of the application. The template in terms of the colors and the logo and things like that. Those things could change. So they're not final, but it's really just to give you a visual. I guess to visualize the functionality of the application. Oops. Is there a video? Should be a video that play? Yeah, there we go. So we've designed, we've had a look at the application and tried to understand all the pages that would be relevant for the application. We've built all that out. We've tried to display, I guess, what each of those pages would look like. And that's just running through each of the pages so you can get a feel of it. So at the top left navigation menu, there'll be a number of configuration items. This is an administrator role. So up at the top, they can configure questions, they can configure surveys, they can configure user profiles. And then they go through, create the questions, map the questions to specific categories like water, transportation, jobs, and then create surveys, add those questions to surveys. And I think this is a create question page. So that's what that's going through. So that's it from Florianopolis. We just also want to say a huge thank you to Florianopolis, to Ivo, to Marsha, Anita, Gracie, Haizi, everyone, and all the volunteers. I'm sure I missed a whole bunch of names. We just want to sincerely thank you. It's been an awesome experience. We loved working with you, we're always we're here available. So if you have our contact details, please feel free to reach out to us. And like I said yesterday, you've got friends for life and friends from all over the globe. So reach out to us. Thank you.
eu também me dou o direito de expressar, em nome da Floripa Amanhã, exatamente a satisfação que tivemos durante 4 semanas, não só da presença física, mas de uma presença emocional, uma presença profissional, e que nos deixou muito a gosto, a trabalho, mesmo que estejamos em setembro, né? Mas eu quero deixar exatamente registrado aqui para os demais a convivência pacífica, a convivência harmoniosa, a convivência produtiva, e o que nos deixou também a gosto pelo fato de nós imaginarmos iniciar um trabalho e produzimos um outro. O que houve um convite para fazermos uma pesquisa de opinião usando tecnologia na pesquisa, que não deixou de ser, mas ela passou por um outro âmbito, que é exatamente integrar a busca da opinião pública através da internet. Então, capturar a mensagem, isso que o Wallace deixou bem claro, das opiniões que estão hoje dispersas no território e também dispersas nos diferentes segmentos, para que elas expressem a realidade que Floripa Amanhã, que preside um comitê. Floripa Amanhã não está, nesse caso, isolada, mas ela preside um comitê da veracidade de Florianópolis. Veracidade é uma entidade que se propõe, fora do governo, a ver a cidade. De fato, entender a cidade, buscar indicadores que identifiquem o estágio de avanços ou até de regressos dos diferentes aspectos da cidade. Nós estamos com 170 praticamente aspectos, e essa busca de opinião, aliás, a busca de dados, a gente quer confrontar com a busca da opinião. Como é que a opinião pública dá crédito a esses dados, confere credibilidade, confiança ou não? Nós temos praticamente 36 espaços da nossa ilha desenhados para podermos, de fato, nesses 36 diferentes espaços, visualizarmos, entendermos a percepção que a comunidade dá às 170 dimensões do desenvolvimento de Florianópolis. Então, Floripa tem o privilégio neste ano e o ano que vem presidir esse comitê, que junta também o setor acadêmico, uma universidade, e o setor produtivo, que é uma representação da TV. Então, esse é o trabalho que nós tínhamos iniciado desenhado para que o grupo viesse nos dar, e durante uma semana nós perturbamos, até nos sentimos um pouco preocupados, porque a gente não queria mais fazer um trabalho só para Florianópolis, mas pretendemos fazer um trabalho que servisse também a outras cidades do Brasil que se disponham a fazer um trabalho semelhante a Florianópolis. Então, houve uma pequena mudança da estrutura e do desenho do projeto. Mas o grupo foi inteligente, competente e rapidamente converteu essa nossa proposta e deu um desenho que vocês viram aqui quanto nós andamos. Então, nós podemos e deixamos com toda a convicção, com toda a clareza aqui, os registros. Nós ontem tivemos um encontro e uma troca de informações e comemos um bolo e também houve muita emoção. Então foi interessante com o convívio do grupo. E hoje eu quero aqui expressar o agradecimento que eu faço. Eu vou deixar eles por último, mas durante os 40, ou melhor, as 4 semanas, nós contamos com um universitário graduando, universitário mestrando, universitário doutorando e pessoas dispostas, como a Grazi, como o Joaquim e a Thaís, é mestranda também, né? Então, que sentaram conosco e nós tivemos uma equipe grande que colaboraram. Então, em particular a eles, nós temos que agradecer, além dessa colaboração, e da Márcia, que sentou diuturnamente, permanentemente. Então, a gente agradece, eu faço isso em nome da Anitta, que é a presidente da Floripa Amanhã. E a eles em particular, eu quero dizer que eu não conheci três. Eu me liguei a três no hemisfério e no mundo. Aliás, hoje o planeta está tão pequeno, né? Então, mas é uma troca emocionante, é uma troca de convivências, é uma troca de saberes, é uma troca de enriquecimento. Eu agradeço em nome da Floripa Amanhã esse convívio, esse enriquecimento e esse produto que nos deram. Obrigado. Olha. Let's go.
Okay. Last but not least, Hacking Health team, please.
Yeah, thanks. Hold on a second. Yeah, no stop. Okay, just a second. We were told that we have to blog. Hold on a second. I hope you've been seeing some of the blogs that people have been posting. It's been a fantastic time. I know I know the three of us that have had a really great experience here. My name is Scott Compton. I'm from New York in the United States. We have Xenia.
Hey, I'm Xenia. I'm from IBM New Zealand and in business operations in IBM New Zealand.
Stuart O'Brien from the UK.
E eu sou a Isabela Gaio do Brasil.
Okay. We have been working with Hacking Health and the Shriners organization here in Santa Catarina. Oops. I'm not sure if we're going to see this, but we came up with a super formula. This is as technical as we're going to get with our presentation. Z plus S squared plus I squared plus L. You multiply that times A. Those are the people that we've been mostly involved with. We've touched a lot of people during our journey here, but Z is Zen. S squared.
Can't miss them.
I squared. We have Isabella and Yvonne. And L for Luis. Where's Luis? Back there. And the multiplier, as we've found in our travels, has been Ademir Rossi.
Ademir!
If you don't know Ademir, you should become a friend because he makes things happen. Unfortunately, I'm not sure how this is going to work today because we have a couple of videos. We'll see how it translates. But Hacking Health, I'm going to summarize very quickly, is a worldwide organization. It's a nonprofit, and they really focus on trying to improve health services through technology, providing, getting people together to solve problems and creating great social impact. I think Yvonne did a great job creating this statement of work for us to come together. It's a great organization. it's been great. And Shriners as well. Yvonne is a Shriner, Luis is a Shriner. I'm sure there are others out there in the audience who are also Shriners as well. They're also a worldwide organization that have been around for quite some time, and we have a short video to describe more about that. But their focus is really on providing healthcare to certain, to youth, to children, healthcare services for youth that have issues with cleft lip, cleft palate, burns, orthopedic issues. It's a great organization. They do run hospitals. I think they're mostly in the United States. I'm not sure if there's still one in Mexico or not, but, and often the process is to actually take children to one of those hospitals for treatments. And so our goal here, and when we were introduced to this project, we were asked to help create strategic partnerships. Now, I'm a developer, I'm a software developer, and when we were getting together, we were going, what do I know about strategic partnerships? I've worked, at IBM doing programming for 33 years. But anyway, we managed to get through it, and so we're going to talk more about our deliverables and how we got there. So I'm going to advance us to the next slide. There's some discussion in here. Hopefully it'll translate for you. And I think there's some subtitles that you're not going to be able to see. So.
Today, all around us, a terrible thing is happening. Something precious is being taken away. Childhood. Orthopedic conditions, spinal injuries, burns, and cleft lip and palates can rob children of their happiest days and severely limit their potential. But something good is also happening. Today, at any of the 22 Shriners Hospitals for Children care facilities, specialists and volunteers are at work, caring, mending, researching new ways to give children a brighter future, regardless of their family's ability to pay. It takes the greatest medical skills that set global standards in pediatric care. But true healing takes something else too, something extra special. Love. Love puts every child first. Love drives medical breakthroughs. Love makes a hospital feel like home. It's why volunteers give millions of hours. It transports families door to door. It rebuilds a child's confidence. It helps them face their first day back at school. And it keeps healing until they're grown up. At Shriners Hospitals for Children, love comes to the rescue every day. And last year alone, it helped give over 120,000 childhoods back. I was one of the children helped by Shriners Hospitals. It was the acts of love and their care that made the difference to my healing. I owe my life to them. If you know a child they could help, contact Shriners Hospitals for Children at 1-800-237-5055. To send your love to the rescue by making a donation, please call 1-800-241-GIFT or visit us at shrinershospitals.org.
Okay, Zia.
So as you can see, we had a big task at hand to truly understand the children's health ecosystem in Santa Catarina and see how we can deliver to it within our 4 weeks. In New Zealand, we have a little slang called tiki tour. Some of you guys may have heard me throw it in. Basically, it's a slang which means to go around to different cities to take in the scenic view. Our tiki tour on this trip was a little different. So we covered a lot of cities in Santa Catarina, and mainly to understand the different opinions from different stakeholders. We went to universities, we went to hospitals, System S, which are like tech partners, we went to health partners, really understanding this ecosystem because end of the day, they're all in it to change a child's life. So we started off way over here in Chapacoa on our very first week. We started at Josaba on our first week. And in Josaba, we visited Hospital University Santa Teresa and UNESCO, which was the university there. The core understanding we gained from Josaba was the way they collaborated health and education to deliver to children. And that was quite insightful for us that we took back on our tiki tour. The next one was Chapecoa. Chapecoa was very insightful. We met a lot of stakeholders. We held a design thinking workshop, and we basically put a range of stakeholders around one table. On that one table, we put the question to them to understand their point of view on what do they think, how can they help children without counting on the government or lack of funds, what can they do? And it was very insightful gaining their ideas, and it definitely pointed out to us very immediately, basically on week one, that the core of the problem they were facing was there was lack of immediate care. There were children from Chapecoa that had to go to Florianopolis or Joinville, basically like a 9-hour ambulance ride to get treated. And it took us a while to digest that, to be honest. So that was some of the core problems they were facing. From there, we went to Lajes. Lajes, we visited a philanthropic hospital. We didn't really understand what philanthropic hospitals meant until we stepped into this hospital and saw the operational model there, saw the community really come together, and they were dispersed in all areas, all roles in this hospital. They were in charge of administration, they were doctors, they were nurses. They really built the community together, and they made the operational model of this hospital work. And we were really inspired of what we saw over there to help the children. From there, we had our week 2 in Joinville. Joinville was really insightful as well, as we visited a Centrino that specializes in cleft lip and palate treatments. We met Dr. Rodrigo there, who I think I can vouch, he had an impact on all of us. He was just really inspirational in his views and thoughts and conveying them to us to understand that a child can have treatments for cleft lip and palate for about 10 years because there's a lot of structural changes going on. And the very last process of getting a prosthetic tooth, it only costs $60, but there's no funds to give that tooth to that child. So it was really insightful to see the lack of materials and equipment over here. And basically they have so much demand in Joinville because all these people from Chapecoa are going to the east. So it made us join the dots a lot in Joinville. Our next adventure was in Tubarão. So in Tubarão we saw a whole new world of research and development. So we were going into a lot of research facilities, the universities and the hospital to really understand how are they researching and how are they bringing new insights into the ecosystem in Santa Catarina. Their passion over there, we even met the mayor and some important government reps over there, and even to see their passion for children and the health ecosystem was really eye-opening. And our last stop was Florianopolis. This is where we resided and had all our hikes and stuff. So we definitely had a lot of our problem solving, which Stuart will come to in Florianopolis. We also visited ACM, who have their specialized doctors, as well as IFMSA, who are the next generation of specialized doctors, and we got a chance to think about how this comes together. So this really summarizes how we visited the beautiful city, the beautiful state of Santa Catarina, and really understood the children and the ecosystem over here. I'm now going to pass over to Stuart, and he's going to let you know more on how we delivered to this.
Okay, so as you can see, Floram saw the whole of Florianopolis, we saw the whole of Santa Catarina, and it took us a long time. Let me just flip this chart. I just want to share some interesting facts. We actually travelled 1,770 kilometres. So for those who don't do kilometres, that's a hell of a long way. And we were in a car for 24 hours with Adam here driving. It was the most terrifying 24 hours of my life, I would say. But it got better. We kind of got used to it. We visited 7 hospitals, 3 ambulatories, 7 universities. We also met 147 people. Now, truthfully, we don't know if it was 147, but it sounded about right. It was an awful lot of people, and frankly, we lost count. We were also lucky enough to go to 3 football stadiums. and watched 3 football games, which all lost. So I have now become the Mick Jagger of CSC. for the Brazilians, they'll get that joke. So let me just talk to our deliverables, because despite 2 weeks of doing all of that travelling, we did actually get some work done. And there were times, I think, where as a team, we were concerned we wouldn't actually deliver anything, right? And we were deeply suspicious at the beginning that it was necessary to travel all around the state and get those insights. But it was truly very important. The first thing we did, and Zen mentioned it, was we ran a design thinking workshop with the support of Chappaqua in Chappaqua. It was a fantastic experience, actually. I'd never done design thinking, or at least I didn't realise I'd done design thinking. And we had 67 people in that room, which equally surprised us, and I think we were all concerned that was probably too many. But it went really well. You know, the team were really engaged, they were passionate about the topic, and the topic was simple: how can we improve healthcare for children in Santa Catarina? It was a pretty basic question, but people got engaged in trying to find solutions to that problem. We also renamed it, or I should say Ivan renamed it to Zen Thinking, because Xenia ran the session and she ran it brilliantly. We were definitely bystanders for most of that. We then did a whole bunch of stuff. You saw all the places we visited. We did a lot on stakeholder collaboration. So in all of those cities we went to, we connected universities, hospitals, healthcare providers, insurers, professionals, to really start talking about these issues, about what can Shriners do as an organisation to make a difference in Santa Catarina. And I'll come back to that, because this is about sustainability. This isn't just philanthropic actions, this isn't Shriners just giving money, providing materials. It's about how can they do something sustainably. Became really clear, and in actual fact there's a room just down there which we were reminded of, which still has on the wall a whole bunch of information about the healthcare system in Santa Catarina. We didn't understand it then, and I'm not convinced we understand it now, quite honestly. But what we did do, and as one of our deliverables, was leave Ivan and Shriners and the team with a mapping of all the key stakeholders within the ecosystem for health in Santa Catarina, and more importantly, the relationships between those healthcare providers, or those members of the ecosystem. And we coined the phrase give to get. So the question was, what does each of those providers give, and what do they get from the healthcare system? And we've left that as a kind of iteration 0, if you like, with Ivan and the team, Luis, etc., to really mature and develop as we go forward. And I'll come back to that in a minute, because we've also left some recommendations as part of the strategic plan about what they can do to mature that. So right in the centre was our key deliverable, and this was the five-year sustainable roadmap. Alexandra, who's the president of the Shriners Temple, was very keen that they make a shift in terms of how they have that impact on children. And we, a bit like the team, the Bridge Lab team, we defined a persona. He was called Lucas, a little boy who lives in Chappaqua, who has healthcare needs. It could be cleft lip, could be orthopedic, it could be a burns issue. And the primary concern we had was that that little boy has to travel across the state to Joinville or to Florianopolis for their treatment. And we wanted to see whether Shriners could sustainably change that for Lucas in a way that they could continue to deliver for a very long time. The current model, both in Santa Catarina, is to move the child to the healthcare. The current Shriners model is also to move the child to the healthcare in the US. So we wanted to change that. We also recognised there was an issue with the availability of materials and equipment in many of the hospitals that we visited. And we also recognise we need to partner with the educational institutions as well to try and make this as sustainable as possible. So what we simply came up with was 4 components to the strategy. The first one was for Shriners to make available key materials and equipment to the 2 reference hospitals in the state where those materials are needed. Simply build a pool of those resources and provide the hospitals with a system with which they can request that equipment or materials. The second part was the same principle. As we move these children around the state, to the East Coast primarily, they often have to come back. I mean, think about it. If you're a little boy with a birth deformity, you're probably going to be treated for many, many years for that particular deformity. So rather than trying to build a hospital, which was an option, right, we actually said what we should do is we should invest strategically in those reference locations and build what we call Shriners support centres. So our recommendation was to build a Shriners Support Centre in Florianopolis, in the Joana de Guzman Hospital, to provide post-surgical rehabilitation for children with orthopaedic issues. And secondly, and part of the roadmap we've given them shows a phasing of this, but secondly, to do the same in Joinville, where we treat cleft lip and palate issues, to provide effectively a family support centre there that allows people to come to that location, be looked after, and connect with other partners already operating in that particular city. But those things are not sustainable, right? Just building centres and providing materials and providing equipment, there's a limit to how long you can do that for. So what we said was, as we start to mature that thinking, we've now got the support centres in those two cities. We've got a pool of resources, materials and equipment. Let's add to that pool of resources the doctors, the specialist doctors that need to do that work, which remember only reside today in Florianopolis and Joinville. So Shriners would engage those doctors on a private basis to provide that treatment in Joysaber, in Larges, in Chapacoa, in Tubarão, and that would require strategic partnerships with hospitals in each of those cities. So we identified which of those hospitals were, and we've identified how those partnerships can be created through the local Shriners organisations in each of those cities. All of those cities have got Shriners in them. And that really starts to connect the whole model, because what then happens is Shriners effectively becomes a kind of healthcare provider, but they don't have a hospital, right? They just have a pool of resources that they can call upon, and they can connect in order to make sure that Lucas, our persona, the little boy in Chapacoa, gets treated in Chapacoa. Now, we're not going to be able to do that for all the children across the state, right? But if we can do that for 50, 60, 100 children, then Shriners will have made a sustainable difference to the healthcare for those children. And that was essentially the strategy we put forward. We provided a breakdown of the sequencing of each of those work streams, the order by city, by town, by service, and also a view of the strategic partnerships. Who do we think from all of our travels they should be partnering with to make this a reality? Now, this is very different. This is a very different model. It's different to what Shriners do today. It's different to how the current healthcare in Santa Catarina works. So we recognised that virtual hospital is a technical term. IBM people understand virtual. We talk virtual all the time. In the healthcare system, it means nothing. So we engaged with a local branding agency called CapMe in Florianopolis through the Shriners organisation. We briefed them on the strategy and we asked them for some help on how can we sell this in a way that's meaningful to the parents and godparents and the guardians of Lucas, right? So that they understand what this concept of a virtual hospital actually is, and also for health professionals. And I'm pleased to say that they've offered 2 months of pro bono marketing and branding work for Shriners to convert this strategy into something that has purpose. You know, so that it becomes purpose-led. Much more about why are we doing it rather than what are we doing. Why do Shriners want to do this in Santa Catarina? Because if we can answer that question, the rest of it will flow quite nicely. So that's a piece of work that has started. We need to make sure that the partnership with Una Chapacoa works. We were in Una Chapacoa and they said to us, we'd like to be involved in that. So we'd like to provide some students to CapMe to help with that 2 months of work. So I'm optimistic that they'll convert this into from technical speak into something that people understand. And then finally, we had one deliverable which we actually said we weren't going to do, which was we had a piece of process around the referral process that Shriners use. And Ivan asked if we would take a look at that process and review whether it's appropriate, etc. The process was written on a whiteboard for us and a photograph was taken and sent to us, you know. So we did some analysis of the process with Ivan's help, and it was pretty clear that central to this model is the need for some kind of request management tooling, some sort of process that allows people to request access to this virtual model. So whilst we were in Joinville, we met with Professor Walter, and we knew this was coming. So we spoke to Professor, who's a professor at the IT department in Joinville, and said, would you help us to develop a prototype of a role-based request management system that allows a Shriner to log in, review the requests, or allows a healthcare professional, a doctor, to log in and request support for Lucas. We did the process review, we sent it to Walter, 2 days later we had a prototype. So that's been done. That partnership, I think, now is there. I think it's for Ivan and the Shriners team to really build on that and use that as the foundation for this regional model that we've developed. So that was kind of the deliverables, really. And that strategy, I think, was the key one. This was actually a time lapse we did of our final presentation, which was 3.5 hours, but it's now 28 seconds for your benefit. But I would like to just express some personal thanks from us as a team. Adamir was our chief driver, connector, communicator. He knew everybody in Santa Catarina. Wherever we turned up, everybody knew Adamir. So thank you, Adamir. It's been a pleasure. Ivan was our host, our project coordinator. I don't know what your title was, but you were there driving this, keeping things together. There was times when we honestly weren't sure why we were going to places, but it became really evident when we got there why you'd made that connection. So again, thank you for that, much appreciated. And Luis Barros, the Shriner of the group, and the Vice President of the Shriners Temple here in Santa Catarina, and our host as well. He's been hugely supportive, very hospital, how do you say? Hospitalidad? No, that's a hospital, right? Hospital, yeah. Been very hospitable. Hospitals. And then last but not least, Isabella, our chief translator. We've had a lot of laughs, Isabella, and mainly at your expense. She never stops eating, but she's been fantastic. So we really appreciate it, and we've got a little gift for you. We'll give you that later. And I think that's it. Is there any additional thanks? You certainly can.
Só queria muito agradecer a Isa Coelho e a Fernanda por essa oportunidade. Eu fui a última a entrar no barco. Com certeza foi a melhor experiência profissional. Eu só queria muito agradecer ao Ivan, ao Luiz, ao Demir, a Daniela e ao Felipe por toda a ajuda. E for you guys, it was
Gente, bom, chorei pouquinho aqui também. Antes da gente começar a fazer o fechamento também, a gente vai ter uma recepção depois ali para conversar mais tranquilo, mais relaxado. Alguém gostaria de falar alguma coisa, fazer alguma pergunta, de repente, para alguma das equipes? Não? Questions, sorry. Some of you don't have your... Yeah, I'm just opening for questions, comments. No? Do you want to say something, Juliana?
Só, acho que 2 comentários, que foi muito bacana conhecer em detalhes os entregáveis dos times hoje, né? Eu acho que como IBMista de mais de uma década, foi muito interessante ver que todos os grupos passaram primeiro pelo olhar do usuário antes de chegar na tecnologia. Eu acho que esse é um esforço que a IBM como empresa mundialmente tem feito ao longo dos últimos anos e é cada vez mais concreto, né? Que antes da tecnologia tem muita humanidade acontecendo, né? Tem pessoas com dores reais e falar de alguns setores, como por exemplo o da saúde, acho que ainda são setores ainda mais delicados, né? Porque realmente falar sobre virtualização do hospital, como que a gente vai começar a conectar a tecnologia nesses meios que ela ainda não é tão diretamente, né? Clara, com uma resposta pronta. Então, pra gente isso é muito bacana. E entender que os projetos também, eles estão em vários... A gente tocou em tecnologia em todos eles, mas em níveis diferentes, o que é bom, né? Cada projeto está no seu timing. Então, o pessoal da Floripa amanhã está começando a pensar na qualidade dos dados que eles estão capturando. Enquanto o pessoal ali do Bridge está trabalhando com 2 milhões de records Então, assim, são realidades diferentes, mas nada minimiza essa necessidade e a importância da tecnologia como realmente uma plataforma de alavancar os resultados de todas as organizações. Então foi muito legal, porque teve essa diferença muito clara, como no caso do Hacking Health, o pessoal ainda falando de estratégia, a tecnologia começou a aparecer ali no final, já como um MVP, uma aliança feita ali no curto prazo. Então foi de um olhar de espectadora, foi muito bacana a gente poder acompanhar. E obrigada mais uma vez pela parceria aí de todos vocês, em nome da IBM Brasil. Tá bom? Ninguém quer falar?
Não, a última coisa que eu quero falar, que eu achei também, além disso que a Ju falou, que realmente essa questão de todos terem tocado, né, nessa questão do usuário mesmo. Tem um amigo meu que dizia, né, tecnologia é mato, o que importa são as pessoas, né? Então é isso, a gente tem toda essa tecnologia e saber o que fazer com ela vai ter que passar sempre pelas pessoas. Então a outra questão também que eu acho muito legal de comentar é que o CSC ele também toca no ecossistema local, né? E eu já vi assim algumas organizações já olhando para outra e já pensando em algumas parcerias e deixar isso, além de todos esses entregáveis também, eu acho que é uma peça fundamental desse programa. E sempre que eu vejo isso já acontecendo, né, agora é que o trabalho começa, agora é que realmente vamos botar a mão na massa e ter essa motivação aí, acho que todos deixaram vocês com metas aí de curto prazo para que vocês já comecem a implementar, e isso é muito importante, e que essas conversas entre essas organizações tão importantes que estão fazendo e tendo um impacto tão grande, não só em Florianópolis, né, mas também no estado todo, aí, como a gente viu, continuem, né? Então, eu acho que é isso, gente. Se ninguém quer fazer nenhum comentário, ninguém tem nenhuma pergunta, eu acho que a gente pode, então, agora começar oficialmente a celebrar. Parabéns, pessoal, foi um prazer conhecer vocês todas as organizações, todos os IBMistas, né, os IBMers. É sempre muito emocionante abrir, acompanhar e fechar esses programas, tá? Parabéns, obrigado pela colaboração de todos, né? Todas as organizações, a gente começou aquelas conversas aí alguns meses atrás, eu agradeço muito. SESI, mais uma vez aí também por, né, ser o anfitrião aí desse evento, obrigado pela força, Heloísio, Isa, minha consultora local querida, obrigada, viu, as nossos assistentes de projetos todos, obrigado também. E a gente tem lá algumas coisinhas para comer agora, para beber, e acho que é isso, né? Então tá bom. Vou fazer festa agora. Alô? Pessoal, tem mais um vídeo que um time aqui quer mostrar. Só peço a atenção de vocês por mais um momento aqui. Espero que dê para ver um pouquinho. O sol invadiu de novo aqui, né? Olhos no telão.